Hello everybody, I experienced Barbenheimer. Last 24 hours I've seen Oppenheimer and I have seen Barbie. I really enjoyed both films. I just got out of Barbie. Oppenheimer was a previous evening. I still count it as Barbenheimer because I saw both these films in the last 24 hours, okay? I'm going to do a non-spoiler review for both films in this video, and then I'll have two separate videos with spoiler reviews for Oppenheimer and Barbie. I feel this is a really awesome experience to have in the cinema, to have a double feature such as this, to have wildly different films, but in terms of quality, probably belonging on the same shelf. Definitely in the contention for Best Picture, most likely, along with a number of different categories. Now, I'd like to talk about Oppenheimer first. This film, I had a lot of expectations going in as a Christopher Nolan fan, but also recognizes that sometimes a film takes a little while for me to really grasp or hold on to. One such film was Interstellar. When I first watched the film, I kind of had that same experience I did as I watched Contact for the first time, expecting to see aliens or some sort of beings or an expression by the filmmaker of what extraterrestrial life could look like, but actually it being manifested in a way that I did not expect. And taking a while to fully grasp what actually happened in the third act with the tesseract that was formed, with the communication across gravity, with love being the connection that could be understood by a higher being of different dimensions or something. That is why they chose the characters that they chose, to be able to communicate between father and daughter. There's a lot of depth there that is contained within a very familiar thing, and that's, fatherhood. When it comes to Oppenheimer, I'm very familiar with this story, in particular to what I feel is an important companion piece to this movie, and that's Oliver Stone's The Untold History of the United States. This series I first discovered on Netflix. It's no longer on Netflix, but I did purchase it on Prime Video, which, funny enough, there's 2 episodes that are part of the appendices that didn't come with the package that I purchased. So Prime Video, what's up? Can I get those 2 episodes, please? Anyways, that series details, and I think one amazingly comprehensive documentary style way that blows your mind if you didn't know these stories, and really paints a picture that can be very bleak and appalling when you look at the behavior of the United States of America. And in particular, its government, but we as the citizens of this country elect our government officials, and it's ultimately our responsibility to fight the power. So this film takes a look at not just the bomb itself, which I had a huge expectation of seeing, what this in-camera shot, or keeping things in camera, meaning that the visual effects were done in camera. There weren't any CGI effects, what I am told, in this film. I could be wrong about that, but I just going into that, having this expectation of, oh, how are they going to do this certain scene? And some of that, that anticipation is there, but you get so involved in the story of the man, Oppenheimer, this is what this film's about. It's about the man and the true cost of creating this device, this gadget, and very specific conversations and pieces of dialogue that I feel are so crucial ultimately to the man. It's based on a book called American Prometheus, which I think is a very profound title, or at least story, of why Prometheus, and I'll discuss that a little bit further in the spoiler video. I highly recommend seeing Oppenheimer in IMAX in the biggest, best print that you can. I have noticed a couple other people on YouTube say that the dialogue is a bit difficult to understand sometimes, and this has happened in previous Nolan films where the dialogue is not just fully dialed into the mix, or something is off, that you can't fully articulate what they're saying, but you get the gist of it. Knowing that going in, having watched a couple reviews, I tried to really focus on the dialogue, and there was probably about 7% of the film in certain scenes that I'm like, I have no idea what they said, but within context of what they were saying, I could, get it. That could be fixed again with the second a second viewing because you have no idea what to really anticipate outside of what you've seen in the trailers. But I just noticed that something was just slightly off with the mix. Could have just been my theater, but let me know in the comments below if you had any issues with trying to understand the dialogue. I had noticed that there were certain scenes in Across the Spider-Verse, Spider-Man, that I couldn't understand some pieces of the dialogue because the mix was too high on the sound effects. But they had fixed that because a lot of other people in theaters said, oh yeah, same thing, but then they sent an update and that was fixed. And well, there you go. Visually spectacular for sure. Wonderful images, wonderful acting. It's very heavy subject matter, and this is not a sugar and rainbows type story. This is a haunting, harrowing story that is very real, and it shows the very human side of it. And sometimes the human side of it is just as scary as seeing a giant fireball worth thousands of, hundreds, if not thousands, and thousands of pounds of TNT, man. I mean, it's crazy to think, the world before the atomic age and how relatively new the atomic age is in the history of the world, and yet how much has changed since then. And so as a citizen of the year 2023, yeah, just the effects of the Cold War and everything after that. There's just a lot of things not to be proud of, that you wonder if things were different, where we would be today. But that's what art does. It makes you think about this. And there was just so much to think about after the film. So I would highly recommend it. But I would say this is not a date movie. It's not you're going to want to just do something else in solitude, or just sit quietly by a fire or on a couch and talk about it. That's what you're going to want to do after seeing this movie. It's definitely a full day type thing. So I'm glad that I had a good night's sleep in between Oppenheimer and Barbie. All right, let's talk about Barbie. I had high expectations going into Barbie, thinking this was going to be a grand old time, a lot of fun. I also really enjoy Greta Gerwig as a writer and director from Lady Bird. That's the work I'm most familiar with. I need to see her other work, but I just really enjoyed that film of really, I think, getting it from the perspective of those characters in a realistic way. And going into Barbie, loving the promotions, the trailers, that Kenergy song that Ryan Gosling is singing. It's a minute and 24 seconds, I believe, of a trailer that they had on social media that released 2 Mondays ago. And that song's been stuck in my head. It's an awesome song. There's another song that is going to really be stuck in my head as well, and that's the What Was I Made For by Billie Eilish. And it's a very, very beautiful song that I'm sure is going to be nominated as well. The production design, the music, the dance choreography, everything is so top-notch. It feels like, Wizard of Oz or 50s and 60s types of musicals. Instead of a green screen, it's hand-painted in the background. So everything just has this beautiful pop in camera that, even though it's about childhood dolls, there's a lot of sophistication, and I feel very, very well articulated representation of the gender experience. I think both female and male, man and woman. And that is so heartening to feel like, you're not the bad guy just because you're a guy or just because you're a girl, but that we're complicated. And there are times to be children playing with childhood toys, and there's times to grow up and be an adult and reflecting on things. It just was a lot of different, emotions and interactions, and taking kind of this conceived notion of the golden era of the United States of America, be the 50s or the 1960s, when Barbie was invented, I believe, in 1959, and flipping it and having those roles reversed, and really understanding what it's like to walk in the other person's shoes from both sides. And I thought that was so great. It was so smart and cool, and it was like walking a tightrope. You knew there's going to be minefields in either direction, especially with these keyboard cowboys and cowgirls on YouTube and everyone else giving their opinion on film, partially to promote their own agenda. but also to just attack things all the time. And sometimes filmmakers give them plenty of ammo to attack, plenty of things to attack, plenty of targets to attack, which can be quite unfair. And it's easy to fall into tropes and to use hatred and bitterness. And Barbie had none of that. I felt I had such a great time watching it as a straight dude that anybody who would have complaints against it from an outside perspective, not watching the film, it just further solidifies that they're in it for their own agenda, and they're in it to please their own fans and to make money on YouTube by repeating these same ideas over and over again, than actually fairly judging films for what they are. I think Barbie is definitely a contender for Best Picture. I think these type of kind of grandiose, elevated musical numbers are such a welcome sight to see that I hope other studios and projects can kind of embrace a little bit of that old school Hollywood magic and to show off how beautiful it is to watch people sing and dance and act and to feel something more emotional than puppets created in a computer. I think Margot Robbie is an absolute genius, both when she's on camera and as a producer. I think her self-awareness of completely embracing her beauty and recognizing it and even poking fun at it, but not diminishing it, is a very powerful thing, because it, I think, allows other people to be like, you know what, I may have these looks going for me, but I can't let that be the only thing that I'm recognized for, even though, you know, you can get a leg up in life by having it, for sure. That's how the world works. But maybe noticing there's a limitation in that. I mean, again, folks, like, there's a lot I'm still thinking about just seeing the film that is something that a guy thinks about as well. So if you have any hesitation because you're a dude thinking like, I don't think this movie is for me, I get that. But I took my mom and we both had an amazing time. And I would say for a lot of guys out there, if you want to know what it's like to walk in woman's shoes figuratively, then go see this movie. America Ferrera has a wonderful performance, and there is some dialogue and performances that just, it's a bullseye. It's just a straight on bullseye of what people are going through today. And if you can put that in a summer blockbuster and wrap it up in pink and have musical dance numbers about it, that's pure genius. So I really tip my hat to Greta Gerwig, Neil Baumbach, and everybody that was involved. Margot Robbie, Ryan Gosling, my goodness, he's incredible as Ken. Everybody that was involved in this movie is really, it's really something special. Dua Lipa's in the movie. She plays a mermaid, and every time she popped up, I went, you're amazing. So there's a lot of other fun, a couple fun cameos here and there, and really amazing self-awareness that I just feel creates a certain amount of respect from the audience, fellow artists, and everybody that can relate to this stuff. So there's my Barbenheimer review. What a time to be alive for the movies, and what a time to have two original ideas. Yeah, they're both based off of something else, right? Oppenheimer's based off of a book about a real person. Barbie is based off of a doll from Mattel. And by the way, Mattel, the way that they can poke fun of themselves is really awesome too. The experience of enjoying the cinema this often amidst some flop busters that we've had this summer is a great thing. And hopefully with the strike and what the industry is going through right now, that studios can recognize there've got to be some changes, that people need to be able to make a decent living, a decent wage if they're working actors or working writers. And the struggle of labor is a struggle not only in the entertainment industry, but it's happening all over. So let this be a reflection of the current times, and hopefully people can work together to change tomorrow for the better, you know? And that even relates both to Barbie and Oppenheimer. So there's my Barbenheimer review. Stay tuned for 2 different videos for the spoilers of both these films. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for supporting the channel. You know what to do. It's YouTube. Like and subscribe. I'll see you online. Bye-bye.